Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ramadan FM with Breaking Stereotypes. And your show host is today myself, Zainab Zaeem-Sattar. And my guest today is Sara Rashid, and she is the founder of Homemade Savouries by Sara, which was established in 2013. Now, my producer raised a really good point earlier to say, okay, if Sara is a lady who does pastries and does homemade savouries, what is she going to be talking about on the show today? And that got me thinking to say, well, actually, it's all about women can. So before we continue further, just a very quick housekeeping. Please feel free to interact with us through Facebook messaging. So you can send us messages if you wanted to, any questions that you wanted to pose to Sara or myself, or if you just wanted to make any comments, then please do so on Ramadan Radio FM, and you can message us through the Facebook. Also, I would like to thank all our listeners and our viewers, my guests who make this the show what it is, and the team at Ramadan Radio, because without them, this would not be possible. So thank you, everyone. Now, moving on. So we have Sara Rashid, owner of Homemade Savouries, established in 2013. Now, Sara is recently a celebrity TV chef from Salam, Britain on Islam Channel. And we've got a really nice quotation that from winning the hearts of the family to winning the hearts of the nation, because actually Sara's face is plastered in pretty much everywhere now that I can see. So she has attracted the attention of the BBC One show, having the crew visit her and observe her in the kitchen as well. And impressed to see her in action, they showcased her fantastic skills in January of 2020. She's also been a guest on BBC Radio several times. She's the face and personality for the Halal Food Shop advertisement campaigns and for the London Food Festival, and she has recently completed an accredited business management and leadership leadership course at the Uni of Leicester, and she mentors many of her followers. Now, that's just in a nutshell. Actually, Sara sent me a massive couple of paragraphs, so hopefully we'll be able to cover as many as we can this evening. So, assalamu alaikum, Sara, how are you?
Wa alaikum salam, I'm really good, I'm really well, thank you.
Good, I'm so excited to have you on the show, and hence why I've got a massive smile plastered on my face. And just before we went live, actually, I did say to Sara that it's actually nice to have you in front of me as opposed to seeing you casually in the aisle of a shop.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how we first connected. It was just bumping into each other in various restaurants. So my first question, Sara, is to you: what made you get into this line of work, meaning, the business and then the pastries?
So I left school at 16. I didn't have any further education. I never went into the world of work. Didn't have any kind of experience. I got married very, very young, straight out of school, really. And then I did I lived with in-laws, I had the kids, I had 4 kids. So the first 10 years or 10 years or so of marriage, it was just literally having babies, raising them, looking after the home, looking after the in-laws, looking after the family. And then when it got to the point where the kids are now going into full-time school, full-time education, I was left with a lot of time on my hands. There's only so much laundries you can do. There's only so much cooking and cleaning in the house that you can do. You need something else in life. So it was either I thought to myself, either I'm going to go out and find a job, but with my limited skills or my limited experience or education, I might just end up doing something that maybe just going into retail or something, which isn't what I was like. It wasn't going to be a passion. It was just me, just get out the house, just maybe earn a bit of pocket money kind of thing. Or it was maybe doing something for myself. So then it was just at the back of my mind. And then I think it was about 8 years ago, just before Ramadan was starting. You know how you sit at home and you make your own prep, your samosas and your pastries and your spring rolls, etc. So I just created a recipe. It was literally just chicken and sweet corn in white sauce. Living in England, we've seen steak and gravy and chicken and sweet corn in white sauce, chicken and mushroom in white sauce, things like this in the English bakeries. I'm from London, so originally. So there wasn't how we have in Leicester, there's so many halal bakeries around. there wasn't halal bakeries in London like this, especially where I was from. So when I made this recipe, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so good. I could literally sell this. Literally, it just started from that one thought in my head. And that's what I did. I started advertising just on my personal Facebook, just to a few friends and family. And slowly, I started getting orders. And then literally, it just snowballed after that.
I can imagine. I mean, some of the best businesses have occurred by two people having a conversation or an idea placed on a napkin, in a restaurant or somewhere, and, businesses have sparked. And I can sit here and endlessly give a list of all the businesses that have started from the garages, and we've got some famous ones on the list.
Yes.
But, people, you can all go away and Google all of those. I'm not going to sit here and start giving the list. But, I left school. Well, I left college when I was 17. I got married quite early as well.
Yeah.
But my life was quite different. The ironic thing was I've never stayed at home. I've never had maternity or anything like that. I've either always been in education or always working. And, the reason why I say that was because my listeners and my, avid followers will know this, that my teachers never had any hopes for me. For me, they were always telling me that I'll never amount to anything.
Oh, wow.
And that I would always be a housewife. And the ironic thing is I'm not.
No,
and then there's you and I resonate quite similarly. And you've, created this business out of nothing with barely any support in terms of the ideas that you've put forward.
Yes.
And you've nourished it and you've worked hard for it and you've made it into what it is today. Yeah. So just tell it, you've touched upon your journey. Yeah. Tell us just a little bit more about that, because I'm pretty sure there would have been some challenges.
Of course. Okay, so it started with, obviously, the orders started coming and started becoming a little bit popular. I wasn't really paying for advertisements. It was just literally advertising on my WhatsApp, on my Facebook. But word of mouth is so powerful. Mm-hmm. So, people would be ordering and then they'd be telling their families and their friends and their cousins, etc. And soon, so many people in Leicester were ordering from me. And not just in Leicester, people started telling their families out of Leicester. So London, I had people in London, Birmingham, Blackburn, Bolton, so many different places in the UK. And then it got to the point where, for example, if you have like a nice old auntie at home making some samosas for Ramzan, like they do for a few customers, and then they'll get to a point saying, okay, that's it, no more orders, we can only do, you can only do a certain amount by one. It got to that point where I was like, okay, I can't do any more now, there's too many orders coming in. But then I thought to myself, I've got the interest, I've got the people wanting to order, why am I going to limit myself and say no? I thought, hang on, let me get some help in. Rather than me doing everything by myself, I was doing the shopping and the deliveries and the cooking and the washing and the cutting and the cooking, the wrapping, packing, everything I was doing by myself. So I thought, hang on, let me get somebody else in to maybe pass off that kind of easier stuff, that more time consuming, but I'll concentrate more on the cooking side, and they can, or the shopping or the admin, and they can do more like, cutting the onions, washing the dishes, actually, once I've made the mixture, wrapping the pastries, wrapping the samosas. So my idea just started with that, and I employed one woman, and then the following year, I had another challenge, like you said, it was freezer space. So initially I was just using a home fridge freezer. From there, when I got the first lovely lady that came to work for me, I got a new freezer. Then following year, another lady, another freezer. Third year, another lady, another. So in that way, I just grew. I overcame those challenges. And then, alhamdulillah, over the years, it just grew and grew and grew. Then it got to the point where I was actually packing things with ice packs, gel ice packs, and actually delivering them around the UK as well. So people would order and say, look, we can't come to Leicester, can you deliver it to us? And I'd be like, okay, hang on, how much is this going to cost? And it was costing £25 just for delivery with a local delivery people, and the ice gel, the boxes, everything. Just imagine delivery charge. And Zainab, people were willing to pay. Because you know what, the quality, they appreciated the quality, and they were willing to pay for it. But I couldn't handle that. It was getting too much. Am I supposed to be cooking? Okay, fair enough, I've got all these ladies helping me, but there's only still so much you can do from home. So then a couple of years ago, the halal food shop online started. They started just as COVID started, and they approached me and they said, look, we want premium products on our website, and your products look really good. They've got the homemade look, but you've created a name for yourself as well. So how about you stock your products with us, and we'll do the deliveries, we'll do the distribution for you. And I thought, you know what, this is amazing, because not only can I reach all the customers that have been ordering until now, but then there's so many customers that wanted to order, but they couldn't afford £25 delivery fee. And then all the people that I can reach through the halal food shop as well. So then I went on board with these guys, and we've just built an amazing relationship now, and people can order my products anywhere around the UK.
So a whole new chapter is born now.
Yes.
You said, you touched upon something really wonderful there. You said people were willing to pay. Now, those who know my father, I'm from, originally from Bolton, and my dad's quite well known there. And when I was little, when I was like teeny tiny, 8, 10, whatever. Yep. I remember my father travelled all the way to France with his mates by car just for food.
Oh, wow.
Right? And, he's one of many people that I know who travel either by ferry, car, train, whatever, just for the food, because the foodies, that's what they love. And you know what? That's why, shall I say I can't lose weight because of that? Not really, because of all my medical issues, but let's just say I can't lose weight because I love my food, right? Yeah. And I've got a quite diverse palate as well. What I won't do is seafood. Okay. So, people are willing to pay. And also, one of the things I really wanted to touch upon when we talk about challenges and that is, when I talk about women can, the reason why I really wanted you on my show, Sara, was it's not just about having a business from home. It's about having that business from home and having that level of skillship to actually expand and go above and beyond, despite what culture, what society tell us to do. Because actually, if we were to allow society and culture to rule the world, women would be at home. Yeah, it's just as simple as that. Majority of the women would be at home. And Islam teaches us that actually women can do business, and we've got the perfect example. We've got Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, who actually ran a business, and she was the one that approached Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we can do business. Islam does not frown upon it. In fact, Islam encourages women to do business, to build their income, and that income is ours. If you actually look at the the rules. So what you are doing, women can. You're doing exactly what Islam teaches us to do. You are having halal rozi, and you are building your business, and you are employing others. And that's the crux of it. You're not just taking care of yourself. You are, yes, in business to make money, to have your products out there, but also you're employing other people. So I'm going to jump just a little bit ahead, and then we'll go back a bit. And the reason why is because we've touched upon your team. Now, I've been following Sara for a very long time now on Facebook, on Instagram, and recently on TikTok. And yes, parents, if your children are on TikTok, parental guidance, has been issued here. But for those of us adults who can't follow TikTok properly, I do advise you to go watch Sara's TikToks. And I'm laughing because some of the stuff she gets her team to do.
Oh God!
Now, Sara,
I know where this is going.
How are you getting your team to do those TikToks?
You saw the last one. Yeah.
I saw the last one. So those who have not seen the last TikTok, I urge you to please go see it, because you'll understand why. Now, it's a whole, actually, I'm going to let Sara explain. Where did you come up with that concept? Please tell us.
And this is going to sound really bad, right? But I don't know if you ever remember watching Baywatch.
Oh, yes. Yes, David Hasselhoff.
Right. And then, do you know the theme tune in the beginning, where all the swimming, the lifeguards all running in slow motion with the theme tune behind? I loved that aspect because it's so impactful.
Yeah, suspense.
So I didn't end up, I did think of using that theme tune, but I didn't end up using that theme tune.
Not with the pardas in there. No. The ladies were pardas, by the way, everyone.
And then I thought of using the A-Team theme tune. The A-Team theme tune was good as well, but in the end I ended up using the one I did, which was really good. And then so they were just going to be walking in slow-mo, like the team are coming, Savouries by Sara's ready to make the next batch of samosas, whatever. And then in the end, I don't know who it was. My niece. She's come. She's a world-renowned photographer. So she came to spend that weekend with me because it was the Halal Food Festival. So she said, get them all to hold like a spoon. One held a bellin, a rolling pin in the hand. Another held a like big serving spoons, like as if they're coming to butter you with their spoons. And then they were all walked in slow motion. We had them in the middle of the road. They were like, Sara, what are you getting us to do? Sara, what are you doing to us? Sara.
So were there no cars coming?
No, it was a quiet morning, and I live on a quiet road.
So that's all right then. But you know what? Please, everyone, I urge you, now that's some marketing skills just there. All these niqabis, they're coming in the middle of the road with things that were in their hands. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. Yeah. And you nailed it. But that's what business is all about. It's about how can you market, how can you level up and go that further. Yeah. So how many people in your team now, Sara?
So I've got 6.
MashaAllah. So is that 6 including you? Or
no, 7 including me. Yeah.
MashaAllah. And you employ them all now. Yeah. I mean, you still work from home, don't you?
Yes, I still work from home. I'm registered with the council from home. I mean, the advantages from home is there's no overheads. I'm not paying any council rates. I'm not paying any business rates. I'm not paying extra rent. It's just from my home kitchen. I've got quite a large kitchen. But it is coming to a point where I'm thinking if I want to expand even more, which I do, then I need to be in a unit. So I'm actually in the process of trying to find the perfect place. It'll just take some time for me to find something good that's just appropriate for me.
Well, you know what? I wish you the best of luck on that. And that reminds me of some ladies in Bolton that I grew up in front of, so they're already much older than me, and they're quite famous now in Leicester because their products are being sold in all of our shops like Pat Foods and that.
Okay.
And they started off in the home. So one of the ladies literally lived behind my mum and dad's house.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up in front of them. I used to play with their kids, babysit their children and that. And they started off just like you from the home. And I think they were Denani Jetani or something like that, so sister-in-laws, and they were again back in the day making it for friends and family, and word of mouth got out, and they then ended up having a unit, and now they distribute all over the UK.
Wow.
And I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to mark it, but the name begins with F, so you could probably figure it out. But they are very, very famous now, and their products are amazing. And one of the key aspects that I sometimes not worry about, but certainly do think about, is what if the quality is lost?
Right. Yes.
Now, you sound like somebody who would not even, you'd make sure that quality is still there.
I'm not willing to compromise on the quality.
That's it. So it's about reassuring the public as well that no matter how big you get, that quality is still there.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason my products do so well, Zainab, is because I give that homemade taste. Now, you can go to supermarkets and you can buy the supermarket samosas and whatever, the generic ones, but you've lost the quality of taste there because they're kind of stuffed with sometimes onions or peas or potatoes or even soya. Right? Sometimes it's not even pure chicken mince, pure chicken keema, lamb keema, or chicken breasts. They put a lot of soya in because obviously it's expensive and they want to make it affordable to everybody. Now, what it is my prices are a bit significantly higher than what you might be able to find in supermarkets, but I don't compromise on the quality. I get the best quality chicken, I get the best quality meat. It's all cleaned really nicely, and I don't. If it's a lamb keema samosa, it's got lamb keema in there with spices. I'm not putting soya in. I'm not stuffing it with peas or potatoes or whatever. I mean, I've got a vegetable samosa. It's got vegetables in, like potatoes and stuff. But if I'm writing lamb keema, it's lamb keema. If I'm writing chicken keema, it's chicken keema.
Oh, I know, because we got your steak. Was it steak and kidney? Steak and
gravy.
Yeah, we got it in Ramzan, and a friend of ours actually came all the way from Slough, and he came to yours to purchase it. I don't know if you remember, you were away for a weekend.
Oh, yes, and I was on my way back.
Yeah, so that's my husband's close friend, and he's like a brother to me.
A few days later, did you send your husband round?
Yes, because I wanted them, and you didn't have any. So he didn't have any, and then I didn't get any because you'd sold out, and I was so upset because when we had them in Ramzan, me and his mate, he's like my brother, and we were kicking off. Me and Hasim, we were just having a fight because he was having them, and I'm just staring at him thinking, I want that's like mine, and that's how it gets. But like you said, it's all about that homemade, and it's the trust that consumers will have in you, where sometimes we might not get that anywhere else. Okay, so we've talked about the TikToks, which I really wanted to touch upon. So please keep them coming. Because
so I've actually only recently got on TikTok. Social media it's so difficult to go. So I'm predominantly on Instagram. I don't even use my Facebook. If something just accidentally gets posted because of my Instagram, TikTok I've just recently started, but I'm actually looking for somebody to just manage my social media.
Okay, I might know a few.
Okay. Because you know what? It's like there's so many. There's Instagram and there's LinkedIn and there's Twitter and there's Facebook and there's YouTube. Now you can do YouTube shorts and I want to be on every platform, but I just do not have the time.
Absolutely.
I can barely manage one, which is Instagram.
Well, you know what? That just goes to show that, alhamdulillah, where you've come, how far you've come along. So in terms of, so we've talked about the challenges and how you overcame these.
Yeah.
Now, one of the questions, we talked about Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha, right? Did you ever feel that your career is clashing with your faith, or your business is clashing with your faith at all?
I don't think so at all, because I wasn't doing anything that might be classed as inappropriate. It's just food. I was just dealing with food. So in terms of what I'm making and what I'm selling, I don't feel like it clashed at all with my faith or with my deen. I'm not doing anything against Islam. I'm not selling pork, I'm not selling alcohol, I'm not, does that make sense? So I don't feel like it compromised it.
So, and let me tell you the reason why I've asked that question. Again, I go back to what society, what culture says, women should actually be in the kitchen. Well, technically you are in the kitchen, right? But you're making something out of it. Now, time and time again, I always see this element of interaction with the opposite gender, laughing too much or going out socializing, or women need to curtail that. And that's the reason why I asked that question, because I know and I guarantee you that there are going to be people out there who want to start a business from home, something that they love to do, baking, cooking, anything like that actually should not be clashing with the religion, but it's clashing with society's norms, it's clashing with culture, maybe it's clashing with family. And I use that term very loosely, because there will be some family member, your nearest and dearest, who you actually trust, they are the ones who are most likely to help hold people back, because they don't want to see you prosper and they don't want to see you. And sometimes I don't believe it's on purpose as well. Sometimes it's what they've been taught. Sometimes it's what they've grown up with, and it's that mentality that carries on. So what I will say to all my listeners and viewers out there, I urge you that if you are somebody who's thinking of going into business and it's not clashing with your religion, and if there are family members who may be holding you back, sit down and have a conversation with them. Explain to them about the pros and cons. Don't be like a child throwing toys at a pram and demanding and say, this is what I'm going to do. It doesn't work like that. Have a business plan. Show them exactly why you want to do it, how far you want to go ahead, and reach out to people out there who've been in your situation, because I guarantee you there's more than one of us who've been where you've been, and we've managed to do it because we've been able to reach out possibly to the people, or gone outside our comfort zone, like Sarah's gone outside her comfort zone. Okay, so moving on, I do want to actually ask that question. Have you had any backlash from the community about your interaction with the opposite gender? And I only ask that because there is going to be someone who's thinking, well, how can I run a business from home and interact without getting myself into trouble?
No, alhamdulillah, I've never had any kind of issues in anything to do with that kind of stuff. But I definitely agree with the cultural issues, where it's expected that the women just stay at home, look after the kids, look after the house, or even if they do want to work, then it's like work, but you still got to look after the kids and do everything. You still got to look after the home and do everything. So there's so many people out there, so many different scenarios, so many different setbacks for so many people living in, sometimes the most horrid situations. But, it's about just still trying your best and breaking through those barriers.
Absolutely. Break those glass ceilings, please, everybody. Okay, so now moving on to your feature by BBC. So this was quite interesting. So first of all, how did you come on the radar for BBC?
You know what it was? At the time, I think they were looking for businesses that are home-based food businesses and that are successfully selling via social media. That was what they were looking for. So somebody messaged me on Facebook to say, because at the time I was only on Facebook, to say that, oh, you do a home business? I said, yes, I do. And they said, are you registered with the council? I said, yes, I am. So they're like, because they were only looking for people that are actually legally.
Legit, yeah.
They were like, okay, so we're doing a feature and you look really promising and we'd like to feature you. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So she said, can we have a phone call? So I said, yes, sure. So she rang me. We spoke for about half an hour, what I do, how it is, everything. And then she was like, okay, so it's basically the BBC One show. I was like, wow. Forget the radio, forget anything else.
Thanks, Sara.
You know, usually, like other businesses I've known, they usually go on BBC Radio Leicester or something, and then they move up to TV. I was like, straight BBC One show, prime time television.
You've gone right to the high road and then come down. Okay.
I stayed there. And then she said, okay, so we're going to send a camera crew to your house, and they'll probably end up staying maybe 5 to 6 hours with you. Okay. But that will be translated into like a 5-minute feature. I said, whatever it is, that's perfectly fine by me. You know what? Exposure. It's all exposure at the end of the day. Lovely camera crew with their big lights and their huge, humongous cameras. And I'm like, wow, I need one of those cameras. I need one of those lights. Can you just like accidentally leave something behind? They were just following me around and they were recording me. I had a customer come. They recorded her. They actually talked to her. Wow. First, obviously, they asked for permission that we want to ask you a few questions on camera. And they're like, yeah. So, and then she spoke and it was really good. So basically, they did 3 businesses in that BBC One show, and I was just one of them. And it was just somebody that's got the council rating, approved by the council, and selling successfully via social media from home.
Wow. I mean, that's just fantastic, because at the end of the day, businesses do think a lot about marketing through paid marketing. So, paid advertisements, whether that's the TV, the radio, whether that's online. And if we put COVID to one side, pre-COVID, I don't think there were that many people that believed in businesses advertising through social media. But like you said right at the start, word of mouth is the best form of marketing that we can get. And in our society, whilst it may have its downsides, one of the best things about our community that I absolutely love on some occasions is their wording. So they can gossip, they can talk, and sometimes that helps us because they will turn around and say, did you do that? I had this and I had that. And we want that positive interaction. We want that positive advertisement. But word of mouth is definitely the best marketing tool that you can ever get. So that's fantastic. So BBC Radio, BBC One show actually, sorry. But then you did go on the BBC Radio, am I correct?
Yeah, then after that, the BBC Radio Leicester, they contacted me and they said, oh, we saw that you did a feature on the BBC One show. Could you come and join us? And, Jimmy from the BBC Radio Leicester, he said, I'm going to come down and do an interview in your kitchen. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then after that, they rang me a few times. I was on quite a few different things. I can't even remember how many now. And then recently, they called me into BBC Radio Leicester studios to teach them how to make samosas.
No way, as in teach the staff?
Yeah, so we were on the radio, and I was teaching them how to make samosas. It was quite funny, honestly.
So were they doing that for their viewers, or was it like they wanted to learn for home?
No, it was a whole, just a segment on Savouries, and it was in Ramadan actually. And it was just about Ramadan and stuff, and
how cool. It was really good. Nobody can say it's just Savouries, because actually the Savouries bring people together. It's a form of connection, isn't it? It's like afternoon tea when friends gather around.
It's like it started. I only started doing it for 3 months in the year, which was before Ramadan, which was the most peak season. Like I used to call myself, I'm like the ice cream van, that comes out in the summer. I'm like the Savouries that come out just before Ramadan, and that's it, I'm done. But then slowly, I started doing it at Christmas time and summertime because people would want to take you out on picnics. They want to fry you. I had somebody sending me a text saying, we're sitting at the airport eating your samosas.
I can imagine.
We fried everything to eat at the airport. I'm like, oh, wicked, that's brilliant. They do afternoon tea setups when guests come over. Sometimes it's just after madrasa snack. Like, for example, myself, I'll make a proper meal after school, but then after madrasa, they want something snackish. So, I'll just fry something up. Or now we've got the air fryer.
Yes.
Which is like the most amazing.
Yes. I've just bought a Ninja.
I've got a Ninja as well.
I've got a small air fryer, but I've literally just bought the Ninja on Friday. I've not even unpacked it yet. No, I need to unpack it. But see, that's one of the beauties about the snacks and stuff. So my 13-year-old, she's the youngest. Sometimes if I'm going to have a long day at work, or because I do a lot of volunteering, and we're going to talk about your volunteering as well in a moment. So when I go away from my volunteering and stuff, when a couple of years ago when my sons were taking care of her, they'd put the snacks in, the samosas and, whatever, they put it in the air fryer and they'd give it to her. So it was a form of making sure that there's still nourishment there. Okay, it's snacks, it's not food. Yeah. Food will come later on, but at least it's food in the stomach,
Yes, exactly.
So it's always handy to have.
Yeah. I've actually, saying that, I've advertised a few of my savouries. You can actually make them into like meals. Like, for example, like I did the Halal Food Festival a few days ago. Yeah. So I fried my veg samosas and I made a massive platter of samosa chaat.
Oh wow.
And it was phenomenal. Everyone loved it. And I did workshops. So I did demo on stage doing that. So I had my stand where my staff was selling the savouries. Yeah. Then I was doing something completely different. I was on stage doing demos, and then I did an entire workshop. So that went down a treat. But then also like I've got chicken cocktail sticks. I said, you know what, sometimes after school, just bung them in the air fryer, maybe do some roast potatoes or some bread butter or some vegetables on the side or buttered sweet corn, and you've got like a little tea, you've got a little meal there.
I never thought of it that way.
And even like I've got pastries, like steak and gravy pastries, a chicken and mushroom and white sauce pastries. If you put a few of them on your plate and make some like nice bisto gravy, do some roast potatoes, roasted vegetables on the side, some Yorkshire puddings, you've got a meal there.
See, I never thought of it that way. For me, it's always been like a snack
exactly
thing.
But you can do something. It's versatile. I want to actually do a proper advertisement that don't just buy my savouries just to eat as a starter. You can actually use them as meals.
Well, there you go, everyone. So it's also not just for snacking, but it's also for proper food there as well for meal. Now we've got about 12 minutes on the clock. So if you just tuned in, it's Breaking Stereotypes on Ramadan FM with my guest Sara Rashid, who is the owner of Homemade Savouries by Sara, and she is now a celebrity. So I am actually fangirling. I've always fangirled after you because I really do love your savouries, but also everything that you've accomplished, because it is not easy. It's not easy running a business, regardless of whatever industry it is, and it doesn't matter whether it's male dominated or not. The fact is there's always going to be gender bias. Some of it is going to be obvious, some of it is going to be not too obvious, but it's there, it exists, right, without us even realizing. So I was saying to you earlier that actually I wanted you to come on my show quite a while ago because I've been following Sara for a while, but then she made an announcement that she's now celebrity TV chef on Islam Channel.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll move on to your mentorship.
Okay, so basically they approached me to say we've got a new TV show. It's a first live TV show that they've done, morning TV show. They've never had one before, called Salam Britain, and it's a whole lifestyle TV show. Imagine GMTV with Philip and Holly, and then they go, oh, now we're going to move on to Gino, and the Italian chef, and he's going to cook something up, and he's like, I'm a Gino, right? Yeah. So I'm the Gino of the Islam Channel. Can you imagine?
I love it. Who's your Gordon Ramsay?
No, there's no Gordon Ramsay there. Okay. No, they do. So basically, they had so they have a slot on Mondays and Wednesdays where they do cooking. So they asked me to do the Wednesday slot. So I said, yeah, that's fine. No, I didn't say yeah, that's fine actually. I said, hang on, I've never ever been on live television before. Yes, I've done television. I've done the BBC One show, but that wasn't live. That was pre-recorded. Over 5 hours, which related to it afterwards was like a 5-minute clip. Yeah. So I've never been on live TV. I don't think you should just get me coming in a kitchen I've never been in before, cooking something live on TV in 20 minutes. It's like a bit too overwhelming. I said, why don't you call me in for an interview as a guest on the show, like you've called me in. So, I'll get my exposure as my business as well. And I can, do you guys like me? Do the producers like me? Does the camera like me? Do I like being on TV, on live? So they said, yeah, that's fine. So first they had me on as a guest on the show. And, I thought, okay, I don't mind this. I could live with this. And then they said, okay, so it's been about 8 months now. So, then I started cooking. I mean, the first time I did it was a disaster.
On live TV.
On live TV. Oh. But no, the audience at home couldn't tell as much. But we in the kitchen, because there's no air vents. And what I'm like, and I've never ever used an electric cooker before. I've got gas at home. Yeah. We used to gas. So first it wouldn't heat. And then once it got hot, it wouldn't slow down.
Oh my God.
So then I put the zira, the cumin seeds in, and the mustard seeds in, and popping, and the chilies, and everyone was wanting to cough. The cameramen were just trying to control themselves. And I was like, oh shit, oh sugar, what have I done? Right? So I decided that, so I thought, okay, you know what, hang on, I did a very complicated dish. So then I thought, next time I'll do a much more simpler dish. So then after that, I just got better and better and better.
Well, it comes with time and experience. Yeah. It comes with time and experience. Yeah. So in terms of, I was going to say something. So you made quite a calculated move there, where you were being offered a slot as a celebrity TV chef live, but rather than do that, you asked to be a guest, and that was quite calculated in the sense that you wanted to make sure that you were not only the right person for them, but they were right for you. Now, for those who are probably thinking, why would you do that? At the end of the day, it comes down to the business as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it's got to be the right level of exposure as well. So I think what I've learned from that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that don't jump just because you're being offered something. Think about it, make sure it's right for you, it's right for your business, make an informed decision, and don't be shy in asking for something else and then moving that way. So actually, to me, that sounds quite reasonable, and it worked out, but equally it may not have. But it's all exciting times. Oh wow. Okay, so well, you know what? Is there a way I can watch that recording? I'd like to go back and watch that.
There is. I'll send it to you.
You'll have to send it to me.
But now that you know that it was such a disaster, now you're gonna notice. At home, people couldn't tell that much. But, I think something got lost in translation. They said, make something exciting and complicated. So I was like, all right, I can do that. It might be exciting and complicated for you, but it's really easy for me. Do you know what curry khichdi is?
Of course, my fave.
So I made curry khichdi. So I had curry in one pot. I had the khichdi in another pot. Then I'd made that the yellow potatoes, the rye potato. I made that, and then I made kidney beans as well.
Oh, okay. So you got one shot further.
I had 4 pots cooking. So I was just cooking like I cook at home. Yeah, put this in, put that in, mix this in. And they were like, it was too fast. You're supposed to add a teaspoon of salt.
I was gonna say that. How are people following?
Exactly. Like I said, it was my first time.
But you know what? You learn. Absolutely, you learn. And actually, it reminds me of my first time on the radio. So I was actually invited as a guest back in 2019 on one of the other shows, because of my journey into law and so on. And after I did that show, the program lead at the time, Charmaine Suleiman, she reached out to me on LinkedIn, and she said, we want you on our show, and we want you to have your own. And this was pure lockdown now, and I went, no, I'm so sorry, but I've never presented. I've not had the training. Yes, I've got the gift of the gab, and I could probably sell sand to the Arabs and whatnot, because I follow in my brother's footsteps there. But radio, I really don't know how I feel. I said, can I have a co-presenter? And she went, no. And she goes, I'm not giving you a co-presenter because there isn't one available. There are. I'm not giving you a co-presenter because I don't believe you need one. You can do it yourself. And she showed that faith in me. And honestly, had she not shown that faith, I didn't have it in me. I really did not believe in myself. So my first whole Ramadan show was from home. Right?
Okay.
In 2020, and then so was 2021. But by then, I was used to it. But in 2020, when my show it took off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember the first time I was blundering, I was making loads of mistakes. I kept, instead of saying viewers, I was saying watchers. And my producer, Keen, he never picked up on it for the first couple of times I said it.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, in my ear, he's like, what do you mean watchers? It's not watchers, it's viewers. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where I got the word watchers from. So, it was, for me, it was all over the place. Then I had a headache, and then on another show, one of my relatives had passed away, and it was just, everything was just building up, and I was sweating, and it was horrible. To me, I felt everything going wrong, but everybody kept giving me
really positive feedback,
and it was with their feedback that I was able to then improve. Now, believe it or not, I've never actually gone back and listened to any of my shows.
Have you not?
No, I did only that first one to see where to improve. Everything else I do, I have it ad hoc. And he's all, when I say he, my producer's always told me off, because every time I come with very limited amount of questions. And there's been shows where I'm almost running out of content. And I'm looking at him, and he knows, he sees my look, and he's like, what the hell's going on? She's run out of content here. And I turn around and because I'm quite good at thinking on my feet, I've managed to stretch it out. But lessons learned, I now have too many questions. But there will be occasions where I don't want to rely on questions. I want that organic conversation to come out. Okay, so we're going to move on. We've got about 4 minutes on the clock. I want to talk a bit more about, so you've done a leadership course recently. What's that about? And then we'll move on to your mentorship.
So basically it was just expanding. If you have a business, and you want to expand, just learning more about management, because I've not had any professional training in business. I have not had any kind of food training or any kind of education that way. But also now that I'm wanting to grow my business and expand, I thought some managerial skills or some just a bit of support in that direction, business acumen, marketing, financials, whatever, just anything is good education. But I feel I did jump in the middle of something very high. I was just looking at all these. They were mostly like old white bald businessmen.
I can just picture that.
Yes.
One Asian Indian woman. Love it.
It was really good because they were all quite doted on me, right? But they all got big companies and they're running, everyone, it had to be a limited company. So I'm a limited company now. So I got in, but I was just like, oops, what am I doing here? But I did learn a lot. There's a lot of things I didn't understand, but I did learn a lot. I feel like it gave me it helped me structure my thinking because I do want to expand and I do want to grow, and I'm always looking for the next opportunity to better myself, to better my work environment for my employees, to better my products, my marketing, my packaging, everything. It's always wanting to improve yourself. So I thought, what, this will help me. It was only 6 months. It was only a 6 months course. But it was good.
Do you know what? It's okay not to understand everything. And that's quite key for everyone to understand. It's not important to know everything there is to know about business, because some things you learn as you go along, and not every single business rule will apply to every single business out there. Of course. You've got your basic foundations, and then it gets tailored per business. But also, you as a person, you're the one that shapes your business. Lead by example. But one of the things I do want to just highlight to you, Sara, is yes, you've not had that education. You may not have got those skills, but for somebody who's not had that, you've done damn well good. So you should be patting yourself on the back, mashallah, alhamdulillah, Allah ka shukr,
but
it's worked out.
There's a reason I pinpoint it. I mean, it's not a thing of pride that I left school at 16, I didn't have an education.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong with it, but it's not something somebody would want to highlight.
I highlight mine.
There's a reason I highlight it, Zainab, is because there's so many women out there that that are in the same position as me, if not worse. Maybe they didn't even finish school at 16. Maybe they finished earlier and they got married, or they're stuck in a rut. They may not be in a happy circumstance in life. I just want to show that you can achieve anything.
Absolutely.
Just take that step. You'll never know if you don't try. If you don't take that step, even if it's to fail, you learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, I never. One of the things I say is there's no such thing as a mistake.
Yeah.
There's things that don't go right,
Yeah.
you know, things that go wrong.
Yeah.
But if you learn from it, it's not a mistake. You learn next time not to do that.
Yeah.
Now we've got about 50 seconds on the clock,
Yeah.
and now, Sara, you mentor people. Do you mentor women and men, or just women?
It's just, when I say mentor, there's no structured mentoring. There's nothing official. It's just literally, you know, there's women and men that might message me on Instagram or whatever, or give me a call and say, look, we're interested in setting a business, we're interested in this, or I'm in a really bad like marriage, or I'm being whatever traumatic experiences, but I want to do something for myself. What can I do? So then I'll just help them, maybe talk to them.
I'm going to cut you off there because we are running out of time, and this happens to me. So basically, if people do want to get in touch with you,
yeah.
So in a nutshell, 5 seconds, nail it down. What can people, a tip for people?
Try your best, take that step, and you'll do well.
MashaAllah. Well, thank you very much, Sara, for coming on the show and giving us your highlights. Your perseverance is absolutely fantastic. To those who are wishing to go ahead and run a business, take that first step, as Sara said. This is Breaking Stereotypes with your host Zainab Zaeem-Sattar, and our guest today was Sara Rashid.